Hello, I'm Kevin, formerly Staffordshire Metal Detectors. I retired 2024 January after 25 years of selling second-hand detectors. When I purchased a detector for resale, it was cleaned, checked over, then became a need to actually test it somewhere, so the testbed was born. I planted 32 different items on our back lawn. These were all sorts of variants, low conductive, high conductive, different depths, some with iron down the hole, some not. Over the years there's been thousands of detectors waved over testbed and probably spent thousands of hours waving them as well. I then started to find out what the best settings were for each detector. The older ones were very easy to get the best out of. You could get the top settings for it within probably 5 minutes because there was no real controls to twiddle about with. But on the more modern ones, should we say, where there's multiple menus, etc., it could take hours to actually find what you thought were the best setting. Of course, that's on the testbed. Out in the field, you might probably have to tweak a few things, and what suits one person setting-wise wouldn't suit another one. A lot of the detectors were tested with multiple coils if I had them at the time, and all the test results were put down on a spreadsheet and then eventually transferred to my website so people could actually see the comparisons between all the different coils and all the detectors. This proved quite a bit of a hit, and I was having about 1,000 page views a day on my website at one stage. Now I've retired, I'm going to start testing the detectors again. I've got about 58 here that I've sort of purchased in the last year to go through initially, and then I shall be sort of picking other ones up I haven't tested eventually, and all these will be sold on once I've tested them. I've also got dozens and dozens, well over 100 coils actually as well to test. This time round, as well as the spreadsheet, there'll be a small video made as well for each detector, and I was just pointing out a few quirks along the way if there are any with that particular model. During the tests, what I would say was a positive signal would be one that I would personally dig. I use audio mainly, although the screen there is a second guess, but no matter what the screen says, if I hear something down the hole that I think is unfair, it's the digger. So the new testbed will be very much like the old one. It will have all sorts of different targets on it, different depths, etc. Only this time will be 82 different targets. The only detector I've used on my testbed so far is the Minelab Manticore with a 9-inch coil on it. So it'll be very interesting to see how the others compare when I get round to testing them all. So without further ado, let's have a look at the field the testbed's built on and the testbed itself. As you can see, the field is virgin furrow. It's not been ploughed for many hundreds of years. I'm just standing down one of the big furrows at the moment. The new testbed has been placed down the hedgerow of one of our fields. So I then closed it. That's mainly to keep the horses from trampling all over targets I've buried. It took me ages to do because, not wishing to take away any grazing for the horses, I decided to actually do it on a very rough area. It was full of brambles, nettles, etc., which was a nightmare. It took me ages to actually straighten it all out and to remove all the iron. Although there wasn't an awful lot of iron in the ground, it does take a long while to find all the nails, or most of the nails, otherwise you just interfere with the testbed. If any of you have ever tried to construct a testbed in your garden, then you'll know exactly what I mean. You can bury a target and then you go over it with your detector and you can't find it because the iron's masking it. On the testbed, I've marked all the targets with little pieces of slate, so I know exactly where everything is. Right, I'll show you which settings I use on a Manticore. We'll start at the top with general settings. Most of these are just personal preference. I have the light on. Ferrous indication, I have that on because I like it. It just gives you a bit more information. Frequency, multi-frequency. I have used all the individual frequencies, but it's nowhere near as good as multi-frequency. You'll see the tests and see what I mean if you look at the results on the website. Audio theme, normal. That just ticks all my boxes really. It's bang on what I want. There are other options, but that's the one that suits me. Target tones, 5-tone. That's what I use basically because that's what it came with when I opened my box, so I haven't really played about with that. There's all sorts of permutation to do with that, but again, it's personal preference. What I tend to do is just use it as is and get used to it. Ferrous volume, 2. Sometimes a little bit louder, but it is very useful to have a ferrous volume. Ferrous pitch, again, that's just personal preference really. I use mine on 1 because it's a nice low tone and it just hums around basically in the background. Ferrous limits, that's how it came out of the box, and I haven't played about with that. I use it in all metal anyway. Recovery speed 4 or 5 I use, normally 4. If you sort of put it down to 3, 2, signals get a little bit nonsensical. Get it up any higher than 5 and it starts to chop signals in half, so you tend to miss a few things, especially for deeper objects. Ground balance, whatever, don't really bother with it. Noise cancel, I don't noise cancel unless I'm getting outside interference, which is annoying me when I not noise cancel, otherwise I just leave it alone. Search mode, all terrain general. All the other search modes are a bit hit and miss really, so this is the best one as far as I'm concerned. Volume 25, that's mainly because I'm deaf. Sensitivity, as you can see, it's on 8 at the moment. That's because I'm playing about with it and I didn't want it jumping all over the place. So I'll whack that one up now to 26, which is what I normally use with a 9-inch coil. I've just got a feeling I missed something here. Yeah, that's the one. Threshold level. I use it on 2. It's always better to have a better threshold humming in the background. It does make a difference, believe me. Profile simple, that's how I like it, and threshold pitch, whatever suits your ears. So I'll go and grab the Manticore, give it a run up the test bed, and introduce you to the targets I've got buried on there. If you want to see pictures of the targets I've got buried, then go to my website featured below. Right, we're going to start with the iron signals and a few horde signals. So the purpose of these tests really to just show you what the detectors are capable of and also what you're missing. Right, we'll start with a horseshoe at 6 inches down. Good signal, you'd dig that. This horseshoe is actually nice and flat on the ground, so probably going to fool the detector more than most, but horseshoes normally, if you line at an angle, do give them a more sort of iron-based signal. Next signal is a nice big iron bottle. Lovely signal, you're going to dig that all day long. Most detectors are fooled by pieces of iron with an hole in the middle of them, like iron chains, things like that. Next one is a 20p buried at 8 inches and there's 3 nails, 2-inch nails sitting directly on top of it. Doesn't really recognise the nails, goes straight through them and gets a 20p. Next one, 20p 8 inches deep again, but this time the nails are 4 inches down. You can see there's a bit of iron coming through now, but it's still getting the target quite easily. Next one, the nails are 1 inch down and directly above the 8-inch buried 20p. And it doesn't get that at all you get is the nails. Next is a strip of iron I found a few weeks ago. It's got 2 little tiny copper rivets sticking out of it, and it's only available from one angle basically. So with a lot of signals you can only get them from one way. So that's how I got it. Now we've got 20 pence sitting on top of a large nail which is buried at 6 inches. The nail's coming through slightly, but it's giving a good signal, so that's going to come out all day. Next one is a piece of coke on the surface. I did this just to see if a coke does actually mask signals. It's a Georgian halfpenny at 8 inches and a coke on the surface. As you can see, it's getting the coke quite happily. Directly below that is the 8-inch buried halfpenny, which is high conductivity. Move a bit forward and it picks the halfpenny up. I don't know how this quite works because the signal's actually going diagonally now and getting the coin underneath the coke. Next one is an easy one for most detectors, a rusty penknife consisting of copper and iron. You might get a bit of a mixed signal, but you're going to be digging that, no matter what angle you come at it from. Next up we have a horseshoe buried at 2 inches and a 20 pence at 6 inches. The horseshoe, being near the surface, masks the 20 pence. And if you go very slow, you can probably pick something out that's diggable in the middle of there. Next, to reverse it, the horseshoe is now at 6 inches and the 20 pence at 2 inches. 20 pence comes in first, detector gets that no problem and doesn't really see the horseshoe. Next we have 6 halfpennies, that's Georgian halfpennies, stacked on top of each other at 11 inches. So that's a nice high conductive signal. As we wander around it, you can see that also disappears. No particular reason for it to disappear, it's just everything's about angles. But if you came at it from that direction when you get it. Next one is 100 mixed coins, all different conductivities, 20 inches deep in a pot. Again, you can tell it's a nice deep signal, although there's a bit of iron coming through on the screen, but of course we should always use our ears and not take a fantastic amount of notice of the screen. It does help on occasions. So you come at it from certain angles and you miss it. Last in the Hood series, this is a very oddball one. This is 6 Georgian halfpennies on edge, all stacked together. It's only 2 inches deep, which should be a quite easy signal for any detector. As you can see, that is an obvious iron signal and you would not be digging that. So you would probably be leaving a nice hoard of coins, probably buried in a bottle or something in the ground. Unless of course you come at it from this way. And then we get it. Now we're going to move on to some very low conductive targets. This is a gold chain rolled up into a ball 1 inch down. You can see that probably giving a good coke signal or a small piece of foil. Unless you were really desperate on a really good site, you would not be digging that. Next one is a gold chain 5 inches long, laid out lengthways. Again, similar sort of signal. Must be millions of gold chains on beaches, but would you be digging that? Next one is a fine silver earring, 1 inch deep again. Nothing. Low conductive cut quarter. This is very low conductivity. That's a nice clear signal, we'd have that one. got a small pewter button next at 7 inches. Again, nice clear signal. Get it from any angle. We've got another small pewter button at 8 inches. Good, so that's easy enough. Next is an odd signal. It's a piece of galena, which is basically lead ore, and it's lead in its raw state in the ground. That's good. It's a big piece of galena, and it's coming in 1, 2, low tone. You probably wouldn't be digging that. I dig it on my sides because there's no coke on there, but you'd have to be desperate to dig it in a field full of coke. Next is an air rifle pellet at 4 inches. I'd dig that. I'm sure not many people would. And air rifle pellet at 5 inches. Again, I'd dig that, but most of my sites are fairly empty, and there's a lot of good stuff come off the sides. But normal detectorists on a normal field would never be digging that. This is a fairly large copper ring at 10 inches down. That's a nice signal. We'd have that one. This is a piece of coke, just so we can remind ourselves what coke sounds like. And always around the sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 on the Richter scale on the Manticore. Next target for identification is a matter of interest to see how things vary. This is an iron cord 2p. This is where the screen might come in useful. You can tell there's iron involved in that, though I would actually be digging it up. So if you see the squiggly line in the bottom there, facing to the left, and go over the crown bottle top, that squiggly line now goes to the right, and it gives a better signal. Actually, the crown bottle top does, which is basically iron. Next target, just an interesting one for separation purposes. It's got an high and low conductive coin, 8 inches deep, and they're 1 inch apart. Lower my eye. That's good separation. And this is a low and a high conductive coin, 3 inches deep, 1 inch apart. There's the low, there's the high. Here is a ring pull and 20p. You can see on the screen the reading and where your little icon is in the middle. And go on to the 20p. Back on the ring pull, both virtually identical, so that will not separate a ring pull from the 20p. That's an high conductive coin, a low conductive coin with a nail in the middle. You can hear all three coming in if you're actually able to separate them with your brain. I'd be digging it anyway. Next are the low conductive coins. We're starting off with 5p at various depths. Some of them are on edge, because not every coin, as we know, falls nice and flat in the ground for you. This is a 5p at 6 inches. Nice easy target. Now this is the same coin on its edge. Could get a bit of a double beep. A bit better from that way. And we got a 5p at 7 inches. And 7 inches on edge. Not as clear, obviously, but it is on edge. Now we've got 5 pence at 8 inches, one at 9 inches, 10 inches, still diggable, 11 inches, I'd dig that on some of my sites, but if I was in a normal field just for day detecting, which was full of signals, I wouldn't bother. 12 inches. This obviously must be lying in the ground a little bit better than the 11-inch one, because it's definitely picking that up a lot better. That's very diggable. Now to continue with the low conductive coins, we've got cut quarters. That's a 4-inch one, coming through nice and clear. Lovely signal. Cut quarter at 5 inches next. Six inches. And a cut quarter at 7 inches. You can see that is now coming in a tie-in. It's out of the detector's range. Most targets out of any detector's range will give you a 9-second, because the detector can't decide what it is basically. It's worth noting, if you're ever lucky enough to find a hoard and you've hammered the area basically, got all your coins out as you think, and then I would definitely recommend digging signals like that. They're just out of range of a detector, and it does pay off. This is hammered threepenny bit, Elizabeth I, 1563. That's 8 inches down. Nice clear signal as you would expect. This hammered I actually found in the field behind our house on a local club dig. Next up is a large cupel nickel coin, which is a 1965 crown. It buried at 13 inches. You're never going to find one of these in the field, but just an experiment where you just see how deep you can get a big piece of cupel nickel. Next section is a random artifact, starting off with a small bottle buried at 10 inches. Just about getting it. Again, I'd be digging that, a lot of people wouldn't. Teaspoon, which is a random sort of odd shaped item at 13 inches. Again, I would be digging that one. Most of these tests are not easy, believe me. That's a thimble, 12 inches. Rotate round again, we get it much better. It's a large lead weight at 14 inches. Okay, if we move around, we do get it a bit better. Next one is a fibula at 7 inches. So most of these tests are pushing the boundaries of any detector, really. Next test is a large musket ball at 10 inches. Getting that easy enough. Most detectors will be confused by musket balls, and we do mostly give very strange signals. Lastly is a horse harness bottle. This is at 15 inches, which is a hell of a depth really, but it is a big piece of brass with a hole in the middle, and most detectors love that sort of target. Next we're on to the high conductive coins. These are Georgian halfpennies, all dated 1806, because basically they're all the same conductivity, so they're consistent. Beautiful signal. That's at 9 inches, 10 inches, 11 inches, 12 inches, 'Not a great signal, but I'd be digging it. 13 inches. I wouldn't be digging that. As you can see, it's sort of bordering on iron now because it doesn't know what it is. 14 inches, no chance. Next is a Georgian halfpenny at 7 inches. This is on hedge. You see the tone changes depending on which way you're getting it. Same thing again, only 8 inches. Now onto the large high conductive coins. These are about as big as it gets really. Cartwheel penny at 8 inches on edge. You can see the actual signals coming in just on the edge of the actual coin. Where the actual coin is, it isn't getting it. Just below it is. 9 inch cartwheel penny on edge. Not really that diggable really. Cartwheel penny 11 inches, nice and flat. Cartwheel penny 12 inches, nice and flat. 13 inches. And 14 inches. Right, onto the silver high conductive coins now. This is a Victorian silver threepenny bit, 1870. It's 8 inches. Nice clear signal on that one, no problem there. Moving on to the Victorian sixpence now at 9 inches. Bit more iron coming in on that. Could be a bit of wire down there, a little piece of rust or something. It's a diggable signal all day long though. On to the shilling, 1845 at 10 inches. Nice clear signal again. A florin, 1923 at 11 inches. Really nice signal again. A silver half crown at 14 inches.
The half crown is a lost of the high conductive coin, Torbage.
Well, that concludes the Minelab Manticore fitted with 9-inch coil tests. The other coils I've got from Manticore will follow in the near future, no doubt. Just need to actually get some sort of comparison going. So the most obvious thing to actually test next is the XB 2 fitted with 9-inch coil. There'll be a direct comparison. These are arguably the most popular detectors in the UK at the moment, I would have thought. If you continue to watch this video, they'll be coming along 5 spreadsheets. These will be highlighting the different frequencies, multi-frequency and other single frequencies of the tests that have just been done on the Manticore. So if you wish to peruse them, then you can pause the individual spreadsheets, or you can catch them on the website anyway. It's just interesting to see what difference using a single frequency does actually make over using a multi-frequency. Anyway, until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.